It wasn't my brightest idea sneaking out after midnight. I just needed air, some quiet away from everything. The streets were empty, the kind of calm that felt safe in our neighborhood. My shoes barely made a sound as I walked, sticking close to the glow of street lights. The walk helped, but when I got back, I realized I'd forgotten my key. The door was locked, the spare gone after Mom changed the hiding spot. I tried the windows, but they were shut tight. Panic bubbled. I didn't want to wake anyone, so I kept working the kitchen window latch. That's when I heard the car. It wasn't fast, just a slow roll down the street. I froze, and the latch halfway turned. The car passed a black sedan, headlights low. I relaxed, but a few seconds later, I heard it again. It had circled back. The car stopped this time, idling in front of my house. I ducked behind the bush by the porch, heart hammering in my chest. I peeked through the leaves. The driver was a man, his face barely visible in the dim light. He just sat there, watching. I held my breath, willing him to leave. He didn't. Instead, the car started creeping forward again, slow and deliberate. My gut told me to move, but where? I stayed crouched, hoping he'd think no one was there. Then the engine cut off. A door opened. Footsteps. I scrambled further into the bushes, their branches scratching at my arms. The footsteps were heavy and measured. They stopped close to the house. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying not to breathe too loudly. "Someone there?" The voice was low, steady. He was testing, waiting for a reaction. I didn't move. The footsteps started again, circling the side of the house. My chest felt tight. He was looking for a way in. I needed to run, but I was boxed in. The backyard gate was locked and the front street was wide open. If I bolted, he'd see me. He stopped again, just around the corner. Silence stretched out. I didn't know if he'd gone or if he was waiting. Suddenly, the porch light flicked on. I heard my neighbor's screen door creak. "Hey, who's there?" It was Mr. Larson's voice, old but firm. The man muttered something under his breath and walked back toward his car. The engine roared to life, and he sped off down the street. I waited until I couldn't hear the car anymore, then sprinted to the back door. I banged on it until Mom opened it, groggy and confused. "Why are you out here?" she asked, but I couldn't answer. The next morning, I saw tire marks in front of the house. That was the last time I ever went out alone at night. The gas station was a dot on the map, a last resort before a long, empty stretch of road. I pulled up to the pump, the only vehicle around, and stepped out. The wind was sharp, yanking the door from my grip. It slammed shut, and I froze. My keys, phone, and wallet sat on the driver's seat. I tugged at the handle, locked. Panic bubbled up, but I pushed it down. I glanced around. The station was dim, a single flickering light above the small building. Through the window, I saw the attendant, head down, scribbling on a notepad when I walked inside. "Excuse me," I started, but he barely looked up. "Locked out?" he said flatly. "Yeah, any way to help?" He shrugged, pointing to a dusty phone on the counter. "You can call someone." No apology, no offer to assist. I thanked him anyway and dialed for a locksmith. They said it'd be an hour, maybe more. I hung up and stepped back outside. The wind had died, leaving the lot eerily quiet. Then I saw him, a man near the edge of the lot, standing just beyond the pool of light. He wasn't moving, just watching. I turned away, pretending not to notice, and leaned against my truck. Minutes passed. When I looked again, he was closer. His clothes were loose, his hands in his pockets. He walked slowly, each step deliberate. My heart picked up. I knocked on the station's door, but the attendant didn't look up. He didn't care. I was on my own. The man stopped a few feet away. "Locked out?" he asked, a thin smile on his face. "Yeah, waiting for help," I said, keeping my tone steady. He nodded as if sizing me up. "You're out here alone, huh?" My chest tightened. I forced a smile. "Not really. Just waiting on my buddy to get here." His eyes narrowed, scanning the lot. "Didn't see another car." I didn't answer, gripping the edge of the truck bed to keep my hand steady. He lingered, his smile fading into something harder to read. Then, as if deciding something, he reached into his pocket. My breath caught, but before he could pull anything out, headlights washed over the lot. Another car pulled in, parking by the pump. The man stepped back, his expression neutral now. "Guess I'll let you be," he said, retreating into the darkness. I didn't move until the car's driver got out, yawning and stretching. He glanced at me, oblivious to what had just happened. When the locksmith arrived an hour later, I didn't tell him about the man. I just got back into my truck, locked the doors, and drove. We'd been driving for hours, taking turns to keep the trip moving. The road stretched endlessly ahead, dark and quiet, with only the hum of the tires and the occasional flicker of a passing truck's lights. When we hit a rest area, I was ready for a break. My girlfriend, Mia, went into the restroom while I stayed by the car, stretching my legs. The place was empty, just a few parked cars under harsh, buzzing lights. I leaned against the car, checking my phone for messages, so I wasn't paying attention when the door slammed shut. The car automatically locked. I cursed under my breath, realizing I'd left the keys on the seat. Mia was still inside, and there was no way to get in without breaking a window. I called out to her, "Mia, come on!" But there was no reply. I tried calling her phone next. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. The rest stop was silent. I could hear the wind picking up and rustling the leaves on the other side of the lot. I paced, looking for anyone who might be around. The place was dead. No cars pulled in, no lights flickered on. Just the faint hum of the lights above. I couldn't stand the stillness. I went back to the car and tried every window. No luck. I was about to break the window when I heard it. A muffled scream. It came from the direction of the restroom. My heart jumped into my throat. I glanced around. The parking lot was still empty. I felt the rush of panic hit. I didn't know what to do. There was no one to help. I tried calling Mia's phone again, but the line went dead. I couldn't wait any longer. I grabbed a large branch off the ground and started toward the restroom. My mind was racing. What if she was hurt? What if someone had followed us in? I was halfway to the door when I heard another scream, this time clearer. It was Mia. My feet moved faster. I could see the restroom now, its door slightly ajar, and my grip tightened on the tire iron. I didn't know what I'd find inside, but I had to get to her. The door creaked open slowly. I peeked around the corner, scanning the dim interior. Mia was standing at the far end, facing a man in a hooded sweatshirt. His back was to me, and he didn't notice me approaching. I gripped the branch tighter, stepped forward, and shouted, "Hey!" The man spun around, eyes wide. He froze, then took a step back. I moved closer, ready to swing, but he bolted, running out the door and into the dark. I rushed to Mia, my hands shaking. She was shaken but unharmed. She looked at me, her face pale. "Thank you," she whispered.